Good morning, everybody. It is 1:33 a.m. It's Neogentrix, your favorite podcast host, here with more food for thought, thoughts if it were you, informational tips, as always. Now, last time we covered what anger is and how to manage it, among other things as well. Now, I didn't cover depression, and I did go back over my notes, and as it turns out, I did cover everything, so I won't be revisiting that topic. However, I did mention that I was going to cover sleep, but something came across that prevented me from doing so today, so I'm going to go ahead and cut to the chase. We're going to cover what stress is, its symptoms, and its triggers, and then after I'm going to cover how to reduce stress in certain ways, so that your hair, unlike mine, won't turn white. I'm 24. My hair shouldn't be turning silver. Unless it's a genetic thing, then I'm just ultimately screwed. Anyway, what is stress? Now, this is the question for today. From my knowledge, it is effectively coping with stress and managing stress that and finding ways to reduce unnecessary or unhealthy levels of stress that are more important. So, the skill is a skill basically everybody needs. All right? Negative stress, tension, anxiety, they're extremely common problems in modern life. Most people will suffer from potentially dangerous or debilitating symptoms of stress and stress-related issues at some point in their lives, so no one is stress-proof. Just keep that in mind. Alright. Stress is a response to an inappropriate level of pressure. That's the basic definition of what it is. You can encounter stress from a number of sources, including but not limited to personal stress, which may be caused by the nature of your work, changes in your life, or personal problems, which is a very common thing. Stress in family or in friends, which in turn may affect you and make you irritable. Stress in your colleagues, which also may affect you. And I'm not covering workplace stress at the moment, but I will cover that later. Stress can be described as distress that is caused as a result of demands placed on physical or mental energy. It can arise as a result of factors including the following. So I'm going to go ahead and cover a few things here. The first thing is anxiety. Anxiety is caused when life's events are felt to be threatening to an individual's physical, social, or mental well-being. The amount of anxiety experienced by an individual depends on how threatening these life events are perceived to be, individual coping strategies, or how many stressful events occur in a short period of time, in which case it also can cause a mental issue as well. Next in the list would be tension. Yeah, that's right, tension. It's a natural reaction to anxiety. Believe it or not, most of these aren't singular, like they cause other issues as well. As far as tension is concerned, it's a part of primitive survival instinct where psychological changes prepare the individual for that fight or flight instance that I mentioned before under the anger podcast. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode 62. Okay? This sympathetic response, as it is known, results in a chemical called ATP being released in the body and causes muscles to tense, ready for action. Don't ask me what ATP stands for. For the life of me, I couldn't pronounce the word if I tried. Actually, let's go ahead and give it a shot here. Adenosine triphosphate. Yeah, that's close enough. If you don't know what that is, go and look it up. Blood vessels near the skin tend to constrict to slow bleeding if injury is sustained and to increase the blood supply to the muscles, heart, lungs, and brain. Digestion is inhibited, the bladder relaxes, the heart rate and breathing speed increases, and the body sweats more as a result of tension. The person affected becomes more alert, and their eyes dilate, and a surge of adrenaline gives rise to an increase in energy. Keep in mind, this is false energy. Your body doesn't actually have it. These responses are extremely useful in situations of physical danger, but unlike for primitive humans, many of the anxieties of modern life are not ones that can be solved by fight or flight reactions or by a physical response. Okay, modern day stressful situations tend to continue for much longer periods of time, and an immediate response doesn't relieve the anxiety provoking situation. Therefore, prolonged states of anxiety can lead to symptoms of stress which prevent the individual from returning to his or her normal relaxed state. Keep this in mind. So prolonged stress can therefore be detrimental to health and well-being. But I think we've already expressed that pretty well. So let's go over physical signs of stress, okay? In addition to feeling uneasy, tense, and worried, physical sensations of continuous stress can include these that I'm about to name. Some you may be familiar with, some you won't, and some you might be grossed out by, but the simple fact is that they are still signs of stress. Dizziness, indigestion, or heartburn, yeah, that one can be caused by it. Tension, headaches, aching muscles, trembling or eye twitching, diarrhea, frequent urination, or just saying, let me just simplify it, going to the bathroom to pee a lot, yeah. Insomnia, tiredness, and impotence. I'm not going to explain what that one is. You're going to have to look that one up yourself. And palpitations. People are often unaware that they are suffering from stress and visit the doctor with symptoms of indigestion, muscle pain, headaches, etc. Severe stress can lead to panic attacks, chest pains, phobias, and even fears of being seriously ill. Continued stress can lead to feelings of lethargy. I'm saying these words wrong today. I'm sorry, I'm so tired. Lethargy, tiredness, migraines, severe stomach upset, and sleeplessness. As with such symptoms, you should seek the help and advice of healthcare professionals. Once the symptoms are recognized, however, as being caused by stress, it is possible to control and reduce the stress levels. And this can be done through learning a number of stress relieving techniques, which we will cover later. Now let's take a slight deviation for a second here. Stress has inducing events and situations in which it can cause major problems. Different people find different events and situations more or less stressful than others. And, individuals have a range of events or situations that are particularly stressful to them. But most people would agree that major events such as losing a job, divorce, money problems would be way more stressful as far as anything else goes. And many of the most stressful situations in life come as a result of unplanned changes in personal circumstances. Now, I have a list here that was compiled based off of some research by a psychologist, and on a scale of 1 to 100, how bad, or I guess one way to put it is, which events would be considered high stress factors as such in a person's life, with death of a spouse or partner being at 100% and minor violations of the law being at 11%. And believe it or not, holidays and Christmas range between a range of 12 and 13. Pregnancies range at a 40. Sexual problems range at a 39. Same with death of a close friend. You got between 37 and 39. Marital separation and death of a close family member between 63 and 65%. Personal injuries at 53. Getting married ranges at 50%. So, different things can cause high levels of stress. Life changes can have a direct effect on health, both either good or bad. People who have a life change score of 200 to 300, as far as the scale goes, I didn't cover the entire list for sake of time, half exhibit health problems in the following year, and of those with a score over 300, or at least with 75%, become ill in the following year. The most stressful change is the death of the spouse, as I mentioned earlier. Widowers have a 40% higher death rate than normal and have had higher rates of illness and depression. And as I mentioned before, as depression is concerned, it can cause mental instability to the point where suicide is actually an issue. So, It's not only unpleasant events that can be stressful, almost any change in circumstance can cause stress as we readjust. If possible, it is wise not to have too many changes in life at the same time, in which case you become mentally unstable. Okay? So, in addition to stress being caused by events, certain situations can lead to people feeling stressed. Although, as mentioned before, the degree of stress will depend amongst others and other things, on that, individuals' coping strategies. Depending on how they choose to handle the stress can determine how well or how high the stress level is. Okay, the environment can make up stress for, how do I phrase this? For example, noise, crowded places, poor lighting, pollution, other external factors over time, things that we have no control over, can cause a person to feel anxious and irritable, therefore causing stress. So, yes, the environment can make us stressed, but it's up to you to decide how you wish to handle it to determine the degree of stress that you're in. Adjusting to modern day life can also be a source of stress as well. So, we now communicate with people in many different ways through the internet, mobile phones, and various broadcast media, and the expectation of a quick response has increased. Using my podcast as an example here. We also have many more commodities available to us, and some people feel an expectation to maintain a certain lifestyle and level of consumerism. In addition, for many women, it is now the norm to manage a full or part-time job and to be the primary caretaker and nurturing person in the family. I don't know when this happened, but it did, so deal with it. All of these changes mean that stress is now unfortunately commonplace in both our personal and professional lives. This should not be the norm, but that's the case. So, simply put, for many people, a personal program of stress management, focusing on stress prevention as much as relief, is an essential part of modern day living, and it's definitely something that a lot of people should do. It's not a skill that should be avoided. With that, it brings this segment to a close. Now, in my next episode, for this podcast, I will cover 10 tips for dealing with stress for those who have to deal with it and how to manage it. Okay. All I've covered in this podcast was what is stress and what causes it. Just to keep it simple, that's all this is about. Now, thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of your day.